Hello, my name is Mark Evans, and this is Mobile Player Experience 1303. And for my first game, I did the game Ruzzle, which is under the game genre board game. And I have a link to the application where you can download it for free. And on the right here, you can see the startup image for Ruzzle. It's a fairly popular game. And throughout the game itself, it's a very good app, and there's a reason that it's at the top of the App Store, most downloaded, because there's not a lot wrong with it. But I'm going to go down here through the game usability heuristics for this week, and can give you a little rundown about the app. Audio and visual representation supports the game, and I believe it does. The game is very well put together. The audio and visual side of it look very good and eye-pleasing. The next section here, the screen layout, is efficient and visually pleasing, which it is. They did a very good job of the layout of the game, and it's very well put together. The device UI, game UI are used for their own purposes. They are, but when you come to the end of a game, you will see this screen, and when you hit the done button, you will get multiple apps or this intrusive ad that comes up that makes you wait about 15 seconds for until the game comes back for the user to use. And I found that to be a very big problem, because, like I said, this ad just comes out of nowhere, and it's not just an ad that you see on the screen. It actually takes up the whole screen. You don't really know what happens, and then you don't get the option to cancel it out until you wait the 15 seconds. So I found that to obstruct the game usability to a certain degree. But I also understand their side of it, wanting to advertise the game and the game being for free to make some sort of profit. But that's why I gave it a severity rating of a minor. Next are indicators, Ruzzle. For indicators for Ruzzle present, and they are, you can actually see them here with the at for 12 points. Whichever word you get gives you the corresponding score. So there are indicators that are visible. The player understands the terminology, and I would say right off the bat, when the game loads, there isn't a lot to tell you how to play the game. You actually have to dig a little deeper and go to the settings page, and then you can find the tutorial. It's like 3 pages deep just to find it, and I found that to be a major problem because I didn't understand how to play the game right off the bat. Something that they should definitely change. But when you get to the how-to page, it's very informative how to play the game, and some of the rules and what a lot of the terminology means, especially like the DL for double letter score, triple letter score, double word score, triple word score. It's very informative. Next section, navigation is consistent, logical, and minimalistic. They did a good job with that. Control keys are consistent, follow standard conventions. They do. Game controls are convenient and flexible. They are. Game gives feedback on players' actions. When you create a word, you get the indication of how much that score is, or if it's not, you get a little bonking sound that tells you that the word is not an acceptable word. So there's plenty of feedback. The player cannot make irreversible errors. It seems to be pretty dummy-proof, and there's not a lot to where you can mess the game up. And if connection fails or anything else, I haven't seen it affect the gameplay. Does the player have to memorize things necessarily? Well, how to play, but once you get the hang of it, there's not really anything that you have to keep remembering. Does the game contain help? And it does. It's just not located on the main screen, which affects the gameplay to a certain degree. And that's my game usability heuristics for game number 1, Ruzzle. On to game 2. We have Super Stickman Golf. And you can see some of the screenshots for that here in a second. So, okay, here we go. So let's come back here. My second game that I'm doing some game usability heuristics on is Super Stickman Golf. It's under the game genre sports. I have a link. It's another free app. And for this week, we had to choose 2 games to do the heuristics ratings on. So just going through it, the audio-visual representation supports the game. I believe it does. There's a clear indication of this game being a golf game. The screen layout is efficient and visually pleasing. I think they could have done a better job with this. It seems pretty generic, and I think they could have done a better job with the UI of making the graphical representation a little better. But with that said, I think with how they made it, it is very easy to understand, very easy to navigate, and how to play the game. It's actually a fun game to play. Screen layout, device UI and game UI are used for their own purposes. They are. They have their own UI navigation and all that plays right into how the game works. Game indicators are visible. They are, but I think they could have done a better job to show more of an indication, like they did here with the whole being complete. I think they could show more of a representation on that, especially if you need mulligan to do over, if you need to, they do show an indicator if you get a hole-in-one, but just going through the game, I think they could have done a better job here. They do it to a certain degree, and that's why it's only a cosmetic thing. It doesn't really affect the gameplay too much, because the game operates, it's pretty flawless. Navigation is consistent, logical, and realistic. It's very easy to navigate through the game. Control keys are consistent and follow standard conventions. They do. Most of these controls are pretty straightforward. Game gives feedback on players' actions. They do, but I would like to see more often. They actually have a section of giving you tips as you're playing through the game. And it only comes up maybe once or twice each time you play, or not at all. They need to come up with a standard way of showing some feedback for the player. But I only gave that a minor severity, and as you can tell, this game is pretty well put together. The player cannot make irreversible errors. That seems to be good in that department. The player does not have to memorize things unnecessarily. That's true. The game contains help. And yes, they did a very good job here having a how-to section right there on the main screen for a player to learn how to play before going into it. But yeah, just going down through this app, it's another one that's highly rated on the App Store, and with the severity rating of a 4 and in the green, you can tell that this game is a success, and not a lot to find in the area of a lot being wrong with the app. Okay, that's my game usability heuristics for this week for both my apps. The first one being Ruzzle, and the second one being Super Stickman Golf. Okay, take care.